Have you ever experienced an event of earth-shattering trauma that changed your life forever? Today's guest, Captain Adam Meyers, experienced just that when he had to do the unthinkable on a call one day. Today's episode could be a little triggering for some people who are dealing with self-harm. If you think that it's too much for you, feel free to skip this one. Well, thank you for being here, Adam.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, Melanie.
It was really cool that you reached out to me. Just to give you a little transparency, I had recently started the podcast, and I think I might have put up 3 episodes by then. And really, it's still new, so there's not a lot of viewers yet.
Okay.
So to have somebody with the credibility that you have and the story that you have reach out and say, hey, I'd like to share my story on your podcast, I was honored, and it meant a lot to me. So thank you for reaching out to me.
Thank you. It means a lot to be on your show. And I know we're going to have a good conversation today about mental health, about law enforcement and first responder mental health. And that's what it's all about. I really appreciate being here. I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my experience, because I just want to help. I want to help people. I'm very transparent, very open, honest, and any questions that you have, just ask, because I truly want to help somebody. Share my experience and in hopes that it'll help them.
That's awesome. So that's actually one of the reasons why I was excited that you were willing to come on the show, is because for me, yes, this is about having a good time and telling jokes and being silly, but I also want to help men specifically, because I feel like men have kind of been let down a little bit in society lately, and they have to act too tough on the outside and on the inside, and then they're also supposed to be really soft and delicate now,
Right.
too, or something.
Right.
And I feel like that's a really difficult position to put young men in. So to have a good role model like you to come on, not just for young men, but also for law enforcement officers who really need to hear the message that you have today, I think that this is a good fit for the show.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's challenging for men. When men struggle, at least for me, when I was struggling, I didn't want to be a burden. I figured, hey, I'll just figure it out myself. I'll just keep going. Eventually it'll work itself out. But it didn't. I really, truly needed help. And I struggled in silence with my mental health for many, many years, until one day I said, you know what, Adam, forget it. I'm done. I'm quitting. I can't do this anymore. And at the time, I don't think I wanted to quit being a police officer. I think I wanted to quit coping the way I was, because it wasn't working for me. It wasn't healthy. My poor coping strategies only, and they call it a strategy. I mean, I guess I thought I was, using a strategy to help myself out, but it didn't work. And I couldn't do it myself. And it took me many years to figure that out. And it's just, it was a struggle for me. I went through hell. I thought I could take care of it myself. And the way I was poorly coping only caused me more stress, more anxiety, more depression. I was hyper vigilant all the time. I just wasn't healthy. And I started not to like myself. And I think it all just came to an end when I said, forget it, I'm done. I really want to get the right kind of help, because I want to get better. I want to get healthy, and I don't want to live this way anymore.
And it looks like you've obviously done that and come out on the other side of that successfully.
Yeah, I've been working pretty hard at it. So what my story is, on April 8th, 2016, I was on duty as a police officer, and I was involved in a critical incident. I used deadly force on someone who had armed themselves with a hatchet inside our Walmart store. And her name was Melissa, and she had some mental health challenges herself. She was a patient at a state mental health facility, but she was out on a good behavior pass with 2 chaperones, and they had went to a Culver's restaurant, and then after that they decided to go to Walmart to do some shopping, and everything seemed to be okay up until the chaperone told Melissa, hey, it's time to go, and she didn't want to leave. So because of her history of violence, because she had a significant history of violence, And because she was refusing to listen to her chaperones, they called 911. Now, the 911 call came in as a 911 hang up call initially. So our dispatch center received the call, noticed it was a hang up call, called them back, and then found out that Melissa was refusing to leave the store and that she was walking back to the sporting goods aisle. Now, when she was in the sporting goods aisle, she ripped open a package and removed a hatchet from the sporting
Oh
goods
goodness.
section, and then started threatening customers and damaging merchandise. Now, it was a normal day for me. I didn't go to work thinking I was going to shoot somebody. And Melissa died. I didn't think I was going to go to work and kill somebody. I never wanted to do that. It was a tragic event. April 8th was on a Friday. This incident happened at 5:15 p.m., which is very busy on a Friday afternoon at Walmart. People are getting ready for the weekend, buying groceries, getting stuff. They might have chores to get done for the weekend. And so I was at the police
Sure.
department and I was typing up a retail theft report. And I got dispatched to Walmart. It wasn't a very emergent call right away. It was just, there was a person there refusing to leave, and the chaperones wanted some assistance. And it's no big deal. We do that all the time. We do that at restaurants. We do that at retail stores. We do that at people's houses. So it wasn't that big of a deal. And I grabbed my laptop. I walked out the back of the police department, jumped in my squad car, and just started driving to Walmart, which is, not even 2 miles away from the police department. And as I was driving, the call became more and more emergent. Dispatch kept the chaperone on the line and kind of gave them a play-by-play as to what was going on, and they relayed that information to me. Now, initially, the chaperone told dispatch that she was trying to remove a knife from the packaging, and not that a knife would have been any less threatening. A knife can still
Sure.
cause great bodily harm, could still kill you. But that's what my perception was, is that she was removing a knife from the package. So once I found out that she was actually in possession of a knife, that's when I started.
And the types of knives that they have on that aisle are not that big
Right,
usually either.
right,
Yeah, so I
exactly.
could see why you wouldn't think it was such a big deal.
Right, and I once I heard that she was in possession of the knife and that she was being threatening to customers, then I turned my lights and sirens on. Then I stepped it up. I was traveling a lot faster than just driving there regularly. And I remember when I was driving there, a lot of Walmarts are set up the same. They have the auto center. Right next to the auto center is sporting goods. And I thought, you know what? I got on the radio. I told other officers I'm going to be responding through the auto center, because my thought was I can go through the auto center, kind of isolate her back at the back of the store and sporting goods before she walked up to the front of the store, and then, hopefully disarm her, and then it wouldn't be that big of a deal. But
Sure.
as I was driving, they said now she's walking towards the front of the store. So that kind of shot that idea, And so what I did was, when I pulled into the parking lot, I remember there were a lot of people in the parking lot and they were looking at me and they wouldn't get out of the way. And I'm thinking, hello, police car, lights and sirens. Something's really going on in the store. Will you please move?
Right.
And just like anybody, just like me, when I see a cop car or a fire engine or an ambulance, I look and I'm like, oh, wow, cool. What's going on? But there was a true emergency. So what I did was, I had no idea where she was in the store. So I figured I would just park my squad car at the general merchandise entrance. Usually Walmart has two entrances. One's grocery and one's the other one, the general merchandise. So I parked at the general merchandise entrance and left my lights on, but turned my sirens off, because I was hoping that if anybody was coming to Walmart, they would see this police car kind of blocking the entrance, thinking, hey, maybe I shouldn't go in there.
Sure.
So I got out of my squad car right away, drew my weapon, ran into the store because I had no idea where she was. And there was a man and woman that was kind of greeted me. They didn't intend to greet me, but they were right there. And I said, where is she? And they kind of pointed down to the lawn and garden, health and beauty aisle. So I ran down there. And when I first saw her, her back was to me. And I started seeing, she was hacking or chopping something up on a pallet. I think it was weed and feed or dog food, something like that. And I
Sure.
made some, multiple commands to her to turn around. And then when she turned around, I saw the hatchet in her hand. And I'm thinking, that's not a knife, that's a hatchet. And,
Mm.
there was a lot of people in the store, hundreds of people in the store. She started walking towards me. I gave her multiple verbal commands to stop, to drop the hatchet. She wouldn't listen to me. She kept walking towards me. And then I had no other choice but to shoot her. My first round went in and out of her leg, and the second round went kind of in her sternum here, and she fell to the ground. And it just seems surreal. I mean, I know I did the right thing, and I know I had to do what I did, but it just seemed surreal. So I mean, after the shots were fired, I got on the radio and advised dispatch, that shots were fired and please send an EMS, an ambulance. And then I looked at the customers that were around there, because there was a lot of people, probably about a dozen people that witnessed the shooting. And I said, please check yourself. Please check each other. I wanted to make sure that my rounds, my bullets didn't hit anybody else. And then I saw
Sure.
a Walmart employee, and I said, please get on the intercom and ask if there's a nurse or a doctor in the store. Please come over here, in hopes that they could help Melissa until an ambulance showed up. There just happened to be a nurse that was like around the corner in the light bulb aisle, and she's like, I'm a nurse. So she kind of assisted the best she could. But I remember, when I pulled the trigger twice, when I shot twice, I changed lives. I know when I pulled the trigger, not only did I take Melissa's life, not only did I change my life, but the people who witnessed the shooting, their lives will forever be changed. Even people who could have been on the other side of Walmart in the grocery aisle picking out groceries for the weekend. Everybody has a story now. Hey, I was at Walmart and I heard these gunshots, and the cops killed somebody. And I don't take
Yeah.
that lightly. During the investigation, I found out that Melissa was a mother. At the time, her daughter was 6 years old. At the
Oh
time,
man.
I have two daughters, and at the time, my daughters were young. So I was
Yeah, I have a
relating.
5-year-old daughter myself.
Yeah, so I was
Yeah.
relating to that. Um, it's not something I'm proud of. It's not something that I'm like, yay, I'm a hero, because I'm not. I'm
No.
not a hero by any means. And a lot of people say, "Oh, you're a hero. You saved the day." No, I she was a threat, and I stopped the threat. I didn't want her to die, but I realized by pulling the trigger, I changed lives. And Melissa will never be able to see her daughter again, her mom, her dad, family members, and then family members won't be able to see Melissa anymore. Her daughter won't be able to see her mom anymore, and I don't take that lightly.
That's really heavy, man. I did get that much out of the email before I stopped, and didn't want any, too many surprises, but just to hear you tell it, it's a lot more compelling. Surreal. Um, and if it's that Walmart like every other Walmart, where right next to the garden section is the toy section.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's
So you really did have to do that, because
oh
what
yeah.
if she had gotten a hold of a child,
Right. And there
or
were children in the area, because Walmart has cameras everywhere. And while they were
yeah.
doing the investigation, they had video of the shooting, video of certain areas in Walmart, and you can see um, an older woman kind of grab a young child and pull her close, kind of in the health and beauty aisle. Because when I made contact with Melissa, that it was at one of the main intersections of Walmart, where everybody comes and goes to get to the other parts of the store.
Right. As you're telling the story, I'm seeing the Walmart in the town I live in. In my head, it's exactly what you're describing. And like I could just imagine if I was in there with my children and that were happening, that would be so scary, for the people there. And like honestly, like you said, nobody wins in that situation. And that would create a really difficult, I can imagine mentally that'd be very hard to handle.
It was, and it still is now. I mean, I'm a lot healthier now, because the shooting happened 9 years ago. But it took me years of suffering in silence and poor coping. And what I mean by poor coping is, I'm wearing for those viewers, or those people who can see this, I'm wearing a tactical vest, and a lot of police officers wear these, and they have these patches. And I'm going to take this one off, and I have another patch here, and it says um, alcohol, casual sex, and drugs. I abused alcohol as one of my poor coping strategies. And when I say abuse alcohol, I really did. I didn't just have a 6 pack or 12 pack of beer. I have a simulated wine glass right here. And on many occasions, what I would do is I would pour some wine, and then I would add some liquid, sleeping medicine and some severe cold and flu medicine into my cocktail. I would make my own cocktail. And there were many times I even reached into the medicine cabinet to see what was in there. And on one occasion, I took my oldest daughter's cough medicine that had codeine in it. It was a prescription for her. And I just didn't care. I wanted to numb the feeling. I wanted everything to go away. I was looking for that quick fix.
Are you married at this time?
I wasn't. I was divorced. I was divorced at that
Okay.
time. Yeah. So, I mean, I just went to alcohol. Before my shooting, I collected wine. I had a lot of wine bottles. And, but I went through wine like that. And then what I did
Sure.
after that is I went to liquor because it got me where I wanted to go quicker. And for example, here's a 750 milliliter bottle of vodka, and I would easily drink this in 30 minutes or less.
Wow.
Not even mix it, not even make a cocktail, just drink it right from the bottle. And then, I was a drunk, and it was a struggle. And I gained weight. I stopped exercising, and I drank and drove. Another time, well, many times, unfortunately, what I would do is when I would have to go somewhere, I would stop by the local gas station and I would buy one of these Fireball whiskeys, cinnamon whiskey. These are my best
Sure.
friend.
That was the first whiskey I ever tried.
Yeah. These are my best friend. These
Yeah.
are like, what, 2 shots or whatever. And so I would go to the gas station and I'd buy 2 or 3 of these and I'd down them right in my SUV. And then I would either throw them in the back seat of my SUV or throw them out the window when I'm driving to where I got to go. And I rationalized that it would take 30 minutes or so for the alcohol to kick in. And then by then I'd be where I needed to be. That's not
Right.
that's not true. That's wrong.
No, about 10 minutes or so.
Right. I drove impaired.
Yeah.
I didn't care.
Before that incident, did you drink alcohol casually or at all?
Casually, but not that much. I mean, that's why I had so many bottles
Okay.
of wine, because I didn't drink it all the time. I had it for
Okay.
either family or friends that came over, and just kind of collected bottles of wine as a hobby. I didn't really drink that much, but after I did, and I'm very lucky that I wasn't arrested for drinking and driving. I'm very lucky that I didn't crash my car. I'm lucky I didn't kill somebody, but I was just reaching out for the next thing that could kind of numb my pain and make things go away. And another thing that I did was casual sex. And I would meet women online specifically to hang out and have sex. It wasn't making love, it was sex. And
Right.
sometimes within 30 minutes of meeting somebody, we'd be having sex. And to me, sex is great. It's fun, it's playful, it feels good. But that's not what I was getting out of it. And I remember one time laying in bed with a woman after we had sex, and I'm thinking, what are you doing, Adam? This isn't you. I didn't like myself. I didn't like myself.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't working for me anymore. And it caused me more stress, more depression, more anxiety, because I was worried, what if I get her pregnant? What if I catch an STD? But even with that, it wasn't enough for me to stop doing it. And
Sure.
it was, yeah, I mean, it was just, I think back now
It's
and
probably emotionally like a step up from masturbation or something like that,
yeah,
probably.
yeah. But I,
Yeah.
but I had somebody there, and I
Because
was,
you didn't have the connection that you would have if you had built a relationship with the
oh,
person that you were sleeping
oh,
with.
right.
It,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
very selfish. It was one sided. It was, I got what I wanted out of it, and she did too. And, but it's just, I look back now and I feel a lot of shame. I feel a lot of guilt with that. And, another thing that I did was, all my life I prided myself with never doing drugs, not even marijuana. And after I smoked marijuana and I tried a marijuana gummy, and what gets me is I was so intoxicated when I did that I don't even remember being high. And it's not that I'm
Oh,
proud
wow.
of it. It's not like man, I wish that I wasn't drunk so I could see how the high was. I was just really looking for the next thing to feel good, the next thing to take my thoughts, my pain all away. And this didn't help. This just made things worse. It caused me more stress, more anxiety, more depression. And yeah, I did this for years.
Yeah, I mean, when you do that, like you impair yourself, you can't focus on anything. So then you either I mean, in your case, it sounds like you probably did a lot of sleeping.
Yeah.
Um, but you know, you either do that or either you just waste your time and you never plan anything, you never do anything, you become a shell,
Yep.
and
Exactly.
it creates an empty hole inside of you.
Right. Before I used to walk all the time. I was eating healthy. Um, I had a route like a five mile, a 7 mile, and a 10 mile route that I walked because I love walking. It's great for your mental health, for your physical health. But after that, I stopped exercising. I stopped eating healthy. I was drinking all the time, and when I was drinking, I was eating like crap. So I was gaining weight, and it was just it was a struggle, and it was just I was sticking to that because it was working for a little bit. I mean, it was, I was drinking so much that I would pass out. And,
Yeah,
another thing that I wanted to talk about is suicide. And another thing I want to talk about is suicide. That's the real deal. You can't come back from that. And I've had several friends who have died by suicide. And even a police officer died by suicide that used to work at the police department that I used to work for. And one of the things that I did was when I was intoxicated, I have a complete plastic replica of my duty weapon right here. It's solid plastic. There's no working parts, but when I was intoxicated, I would remove the magazine, rack the slide to remove the round, and then I would put the gun to my head, to my temple, and I'd pull the trigger because I wanted to hear that metallic click. And I easily did that a dozen times. And I have no idea why I did that. I didn't want to die. I didn't want to kill myself. And when I tell that to some people now, some people think, "Well, that guy's a nut. He shouldn't be a cop." But it's a reality of it. That's really what I did. And some people think, some people told me maybe you're planning, maybe you were preparing to do it, but I don't think so. I don't know why. But then I also think, how many times did I do that when I was so blackout drunk that what if I would have forgot to remove the magazine and clear the chamber? I very well could have killed myself. I could have died by suicide, and people would have found me, and they probably would have thought, we get it. Adam was sad. He's depressed. He killed somebody in the line of duty, but that's not what I never thought about just doing it. I mean, sure, there were many times. I'm religious. I was born and raised Lutheran, and um,
sure.
I there were many nights I prayed to God that I wouldn't wake up. I'm like, come on, God, please don't let me wake up. Or can you hit the fast forward button? I don't want to deal with this anymore. And him and I had some
Yeah,
pretty heated conversations. I wasn't very happy with him, many times. But
that's okay.
yeah, right. And I truly believe, Milty, why I'm here with you is because that's what I'm supposed to be doing. I truly believe that the reason why I didn't die is because I'm supposed to be sharing my experiences with others to help people,
Yeah,
and it's when you go through something like this, you do a lot of thinking, and a lot of it doesn't make sense, and a lot of questions that you have, you may never get answers to. And you may not get answers right away. You might get it 5, 10, 15 years down the road or never. But, mental health is so important. And that's why I tell people, especially police officers and first responders, that, it's okay to talk about your mental health. You're not alone. Please don't suffer in silence. There's so many resources out there. There's so many people that are willing to help you, and not just because they're getting paid for it. People really want to help. There's genuine people are really, yeah, there's really genuine people out there that want to help you, and not because they're getting paid. I remember after my shooting, I was cleared and I went back to work, and I bumped into some of those people, and most of them were strangers. They would see me on the road and they would say, "Hey, are you Adam Meyers? Are you the one that was involved in the shooting?" And I said, "Yeah." And they would tell me that, "Hey, we prayed for you. We were hoping you were going to be okay. Can I give you a hug?" And I would hug them, and then we'd go our separate ways. And I'm thinking, wow, I don't even know those people, but they wanted me to be okay. They were praying for me. I don't even know them. They're
yeah,
complete strangers. So I mean, there are good people out there that want to help, and it's not always
for
easy
sure.
to ask for help. It's difficult, or
Yeah.
more people would do it.
Yeah, I agree. So what you were talking about with the guns, that's not actually that weird. I grew up in, I don't know your age. I'm 40,
I'm 50.
so around 2050.
Yeah.
So okay, so just a generation above mine,
Yeah.
Gen X, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my generation, and I think in your generation too, but there was a lot of young people that were depressed that would cut themselves.
Yeah.
And I don't think they wanted to die. It was a way to be like, oh, okay, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
And maybe that was something like that.
Well, and it's interesting you say that because my oldest daughter, who's 28 years old now, she was a cutter when she grew up, and her and I have had many conversations about that. And it was a release for her. She never wanted to die, um, but it was a release for her, and she doesn't do it anymore. But yeah, she never wanted to die. She would just do it as a release to in some way help get the pain out. I mean, I don't totally understand it. I understand it from a level of, she's my daughter and I'm her dad, but I don't but she even told me, Daddy, I never wanted to die. I never thought about killing myself. I was doing it to just kind of vent, kind of release my pain. And
Right.
yeah. So
Yeah, there's a band called Bad Flower,
okay.
and they have a song that touches on that, and it's very emotional, and it could be triggering. I thought it could be triggering though, but
Mhm.
the more I listened to it and thought about it, like it might actually be more helpful to people who are dealing with that.
Okay.
There's a line in it where it says um, something to do with I went a little too deep. I messed up this time,
Okay.
and they're referring to they're about to die,
Yeah.
and they didn't want to really.
Hmm.
So like I feel like it's important for people who are dealing with that stage of suicidal thoughts to realize that if you're feeling that way, this is the time to let somebody know I really need help, and they're going to love you and they're going to help you.
Oh, right. Absolutely. I mean, that's what I tell people all the time. It doesn't matter if you're a police officer, first responder, whatever job you have, if you're unemployed, that, it's not easy to reach out for help. It's not easy. And that has to do with that stigma that surrounds mental health.
There's
And
also this resistance, and it doesn't even matter if it's about something like this, but there's this resistance to just start something.
yeah,
Like, even if it's a positive thing, there's this resistance that you just have to be like, I'm not going to resist it anymore. That's where procrastination
yeah.
starts. And it's even worse whenever your mental health is bad.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
easier to give in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I tell people, technology is great. We have cell phones, we have email, we have laptops, we have all kinds of stuff all over the place. And if you really need help, even if you don't understand what you're going through, send a text to somebody, send an email to somebody. If it's difficult to do the face to face, if you really can't go to somebody and look at them in their eyes and say, I'm struggling, I need help, send a text. Even if, like I said, if you don't get it, even send a text like, hey, Milty, I'm struggling, man. I have no idea what's going on, but I know something ain't right. I need help. That's a start. Please help
For
me.
sure.
There's people out there that will. And taking that first step is difficult, but it's so important. It's so important. So, use technology to your advantage. You don't have to go on a podcast and tell everybody your inner secrets and your whole life and everything like that. But, send a text, send an email. And if you know somebody who's struggling, please reach out to them. It means so much. When I was struggling, people would reach out, they would text me, they would try to call, and I would hardly ever answer. But I knew I would look at my phone and I'd be like, oh, okay, there's somebody there. And
Yeah, they care.
right. And I was never upset. I might have thought, oh God, leave me alone, or something like that. But I was never like upset that they did it. I was like, okay, they care. And where
For
I
sure.
where I lived, my mom and dad and sister lived 3.5, 4 hours away. So it was really easy to hide my struggles from them, even if they knew, hey Adam, how you doing? I'm fine. Even if they had the gut feeling you're not fine, they couldn't prove it because they weren't going
Right.
to drive. I mean, my parents probably would have if they really wanted to, but a lot of people aren't going to drive 3.5, 4 hours, to check on you. So it's
Yeah.
really easy to hide that. And one of the things that I struggle with is I find it hard to believe that the people I worked with didn't realize that I was struggling, because
Yeah.
I knew them. They knew me. They were like a second family, and I believe they knew. I think they knew I was struggling, but I think a lot of them just didn't know what to say or what to do, so they chose not to do anything. And I'm guilty of that
Yeah.
too. I've done that in the past too. It's like, yeah, I don't know, so I'm just going to stay away from that. But
Well, you don't want to harm the relationship by offending the person
right,
whenever sometimes it might be worth it to try.
right, right. Even as
Yeah.
simple, even if you were struggling, Milty, even if you're like, hey, Milty, I just want to let you know something doesn't seem right. If you need help, let me know. I care about you, man. You know, I'm not going to pry right now, but I'm here. If you need somebody, I'm here. I'm not going to judge you. Just please come to me if you need some help. That means a lot. It's not easy to say or do, but it means a lot.
Sure. Definitely. So from that, you've decided that you're going to make it your mission to help law enforcement officers with this, and you've got a website dedicated to that. And you do education as well, right?
I do. I'm the founder of Stop the Threat, Stop the Stigma. I started speaking about my shooting in 2019, 3 years after my shooting, and Stop the Stop the Threat, Stop the Stigma was established to promote law enforcement wellness in hopes that it'll inspire other police officers, first responders, pretty much anybody to speak about their mental health and to reach out for help if you need it. There's that stigma with mental health in law enforcement and first responders. I don't think it'll ever go away. It'll get better, and it is getting better. It's getting a lot better. But there's just that stigma in life, that mental health stigma, period. So I was hoping that by sharing my experience and being as transparent as I am, that others will listen or watch or kind of get inspired to talk about their mental health, to get help or to help somebody else. And this is triggering, Milty. It's a little stressful for me, but it's so important. It's bigger than me. And that's why when we were talking about coming on and being on your show, I'm like, absolutely, because it's so important. And even if it only helps one person, even if it reaches one person who knows somebody that's struggling, that's important. I mean, I've spoken in person many times, at colleges, at churches, at different places, and I always wonder if by being transparent and putting myself out there, if it's really helping. And it is. There was one time I was at a field training officer training conference, and there were, gosh, a couple hundred people there, probably all police officers, correction officers, sheriff's deputies, state troopers, and I'm thinking, I hope I'm getting through to somebody. And you never really know. I mean, you talk to people on break or after you speak, and you kind of have that little bit of confidence. But I remember this specifically because the next day I was sitting at home having coffee, watching the news, and I got this message from a psychologist, from a counselor, and she says, "You don't know who I am, but I just wanted to let you know that a police officer came and spoke with me today because he heard you speak yesterday and thought it was time for him to get some help." And I'm thinking,
That's amazing.
that's what it's all about. Because there's many
Yeah.
times, and it could happen even after we're done talking, that I'm like, yeah, I don't know, this is really stressful for me. I think I'm just not going to do it anymore. But then you get a message like that. That's what it's all about. That's what makes all this worth it. It's bigger than me. I just want to help. And I know I'm not the only one out there struggling.
Absolutely. I would encourage anybody who's listening right now, if you want to let Adam know that he's helped you, if you hear this, send me the message privately and I'll make sure that he gets it so that he can know that, because I'm telling you, to know that he's helping people will encourage him to keep going and also help him to heal, as well as helping you to heal by getting help. I won't put that out publicly at all. But I would like for anyone who sees this to let us know, because I would like for Adam to know how good he is doing to the world and for the world. Adam, I believe that you really are changing lives, whether you see it or not. There was a time whenever I was actually a youth pastor, and I didn't know if I was helping anyone that time or not. And I I went for a long time feeling empty and broken because of the situations that I was in ministry, and I'm no longer in ministry. I don't have any plans to go back into ministry. I still follow Christ, but um, I just I I have a different way of going about my faith now. It's yeah, just to put it, you know, I guess briefly, but I have seen in the lives of some of those young people that my wife and I worked with, especially when we worked with the children before youth ministry. They're adults now, and seeing where they are and what they're doing with their life, it's like, okay, we did have good influence, and so whether you ever see it or not, because you're not friends with those people per se, you are making a difference, and this is massively important, and God did keep you around for this.
I, I 100% I believe that. The many nights I'm like, come on, God, just please let me not wake up. And I did. And I absolutely believe it. And, how many people am I reaching that don't talk about it? That's important too. And, even it really made me feel good when that counselor reached out and said, hey, this person heard you speak yesterday and they wanted to get help. And when I talk about counseling, I see a therapist too. I still see a therapist. Every Monday at 5 p.m., I'm sitting on the couch talking to my counselor, and I absolutely love her. It helps me, and I'll continue to see a therapist as long as it helps me. And another thing is, it's okay. I believe it's okay to take medication. I take medication,
Absolutely.
and here's my pills right here. I wake up in the morning, I go to the bathroom, I take a Lexapro, 20 milligrams of Lexapro, and I take a multivitamin, and then I just hit the ground running and keep going. And you know what? It helps me. It's okay. And if I talk to a lot of men, and I was like, okay, so who here likes sex? Okay, yeah, I like sex. Okay, great. Now let's say that for some reason you had an impotence issue or whatever, and you could take a pill and it would make things better. Would you do that? Almost everybody said
Apparently, a lot
yeah.
will because they advertise this on every podcast.
Right. And they said, yeah, almost
Yeah,
everybody said, yeah. I'm like, okay, so I take a Lexapro, 20 milligrams of Lexapro every day. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you see a therapist? Why wouldn't you pop a pill if it helps you? And you can kind of see them nodding their head. And it's like, and I get it. Therapy isn't for everybody. Medicine isn't for everybody. But it is for me, and it's helped me. So that's why I just share that, because if it works for me, I'm going to continue to do it. If things stop working for me, then I'm going to try to find something that does work for me. And
that's right.
and I remember all the poor coping, and I don't want to go back to that because it didn't help me. Now I'm healthier. Many years later, I'm healthier, and I know what works for me, and I just need to continue to do that because every day I just get better and better and better.
That's amazing. So now that you're on the upside of things, what are some things that you enjoy to do, you know, living life? What are your hobbies or your passions and things that you do outside of work?
That's a good question. Almost everything, everything is like new. I mean, I like to be outdoors. I still walk a lot now. Today, I walked 7 miles. Um, Took a nap afterwards because I needed it. But
Yeah, I bet.
yeah, I like the outdoors. I like hiking. I like kayaking. I like cooking. Um, I was actually terminated from the police department where I had my shooting, and after that, I put myself first and got healthy, got the help I needed. And then, I never thought I'd be a cop again. I never thought anybody would even want me, because once you bring up mental health in an interview, I figure, yeah, I'm done. Nobody's going to want me. But what I did was I sent out 50 applications, cover letters, and resumes to agencies that kind of was within 30 minutes of where I was living. And the next day after I mailed it out, people were calling me. They were calling me, they were emailing me. They wanted me to interview either virtually or in person. And then there was a 2-week period where 3 police departments offered me conditional offers of employment. So I got to pick one, and that's where I am now. And my chief now, Sean McGee, he absolutely supports me. Our police department has a boat patrol, so we're out there on
Okay.
on the lake, and we also have a therapy dog named Howie. Um,
Cool.
We're out on the lake, and the chief says, "You know what, Adam? I know that you speak about mental health. I support you if you want to continue to do that. I support you 100%, and you can even wear your uniform if you want to do that." And I'm like, "Wow, this is great!" And it's because I put myself first. It's not easy to do that, but I finally said, "Enough is enough. I need the right kind of help." I got the right kind of help, and because of that, I'm a police officer again. And shortly after I was
That's
hired,
amazing.
I was promoted to captain. So I'm a police captain of the police department, and I continue to share my experience with others. Why? Because I'm supported. Because my chief support. That's the only reason why I'm talking to you, Milty, is because my chief says, "Go right ahead. I support you," and that really means a
That's
lot.
awesome.
Because when you know your
Yeah,
chief, or when you know your supervisor or boss supports you, that's everything. Especially if you're having a crappy day. That's so important.
for sure.
And he not only says it, he means it. He not only says it, he
Right.
means it. It's a big difference.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Um, absolutely. I'm very grateful that you came in today to talk about all
Thank
this.
you.
Um,
Thank you.
I really it's a lot. It's a lot for you to share, I'm sure,
Yeah.
but it's for sure going to help someone. And I'm gonna probably wrap this up here, just because I think that we did cover a good story. Unless you had anything else to add.
I just want people to know that it is okay to talk about your mental health. You're not alone. Please don't suffer in silence. When I finally was able to get the right kind of help, I was diagnosed unfit for duty, and I was ultimately terminated from that police department. I was diagnosed with major depressive disorder, PTSD, acute stress with dissociative features. And there were many times that I thought, that's it for me, man. I'm done. I'm done. Nobody's ever going to want me to be a cop again. And all my life, I wanted to be a police officer. When I was a little kid and I would see police cars, I would call them an car because of the siren. And my parents said
Oh yeah,
the first time I saw a police officer get out, I'm like, an car man. I want to grow up and be an car man. So all my life, that's what I wanted to do. And then I get
that's cool.
diagnosed unfit for duty and terminated. I thought, I'm done. What am I going to do now?
Wow.
But please reach out. Don't give up. It may take you years. It took me years. But don't give up. Just keep going. And, get help. There's plenty of help out there. You're not alone.
Very good. Thank you very much for being here this evening.
Thank you. I appreciate it.